Welcome, everybody, to another Horror Corner. Hi there, everybody. My name is JPOOL, and once again, let's welcome my co-host, LC.
Hey, 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 Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. How was your New Year?
It was good. It was quiet. It was Stranger Things a couple of times, rewatching, and that was about it. Went to bed before midnight and got up and watched Stranger Things again before going to the airport. How about you?
Well, I did some basically karaoke to like almost 2 o'clock, and then the next day watched Stranger Things and cried.
Yeah.
Cried.
So,
And
how
cried and
did you
cried some
feel
more.
about the ending? Without saying anything about the ending, how did you feel about the ending?
I like the ending. I like the ending. I know some people would have rather have, I'm not going to spoil too much, but I'm going to say that not everybody gets a quote unquote happy ending. Um, but I do like how they ended it. I felt like it reminded me of sort of like a Toy Story 3 type of ending, where it's basically
Okay.
putting away childish things and having to grow up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they definitely tick and tied everything. They wrapped it up nicely. And I've spent the better part of the last few days looking at all of the theories online about what's to come. So I thought that they tied a neat little bow on it, but now I'm contemplating what the spinoffs are going to be and who we'll see again and who we won't. And we can always hope, right?
Yeah, I heard one of the spin-offs is going to be Nancy.
Okay.
So that'll
All
be
right.
interesting considering where she decides to go. Maybe
Yeah.
at the end of the episode. We're not going to say, but
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. I definitely heard Holly's gonna be a spinoff, so we'll see what happens there. Um, who knows? It's a great show though. There's a little
yeah,
hole in my heart that will anxiously await something else that good to fill it. We got the expanded time with our friends at Stranger Things because of COVID setbacks and everything, but what a
and the
great
writer
show.
strikes and stuff.
And the writer strikes, yeah.
So we got
So
five seasons of nearly 10 years.
right,
It's a long stretch.
right. So
It's like
looking
Game of
for the
Thrones.
next. Yeah, yeah. Oh my goodness. It was a wild ride though. Looking for the next amazing binge-worthy show. Always.
Well, if you haven't already watched it, you should check out Fallout.
Fallout.
Yes, it's based on a
Tell
game
tell me about it.
series.
Okay.
It's on Amazon Prime,
Mhm.
and it's based on the video game of the same name, and it's about a sort of a what was it? A retro future type of world that gets nuked, and 200 years
Oh.
later, um, the the humans that have survived are been living in these bunkers, but everything else outside of these bunkers has sort of mutated or have gone really chaotic. And yeah, so like bugs that would be small or huge, and creatures that were once adorable or been mutated, and it's just this
Okay.
wasteland. Um, and the some of the humans that have survived have turned into these creatures called ghouls, basically like more like sentient zombies that
Okay.
can, but if they don't get a specific substance, every once in a while they'll go feral and need to be put
Nice.
down. But and Walton Goggins is a ghoul in there, and he's
Okay.
one of the main characters. I don't know if you've seen Walton Goggins before. If you saw his face, you'd be like, "Oh yeah, that guy."
Probably. Probably. I'll have to look it up. Yeah, I feel like I've heard that plot. I don't know if it's that specific show, but I feel like I've recently heard some of I thought it was a movie though, so I'll have to check
Yeah,
that out. Fallout.
yeah. It has Ella Purnell in there.
Walter Goggins. Oh yeah, Walter Goggins. Yeah.
Well, Walton, but
Justified.
yeah, yeah. Justified. Oh,
Justified.
I didn't know if you've seen Justified, so I was.
Yeah, White Lotus fame recent season, right?
Oh yeah,
So,
exactly.
hmm
The
I need to commit
recent
his
season
name
with
to memory.
Lisa. Yeah, the recent season with Lisa from Blackpink was in
hmm
there.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I need to commit his name to memory. I think I've looked his name up far more than the average human because I have not yet done so.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so tonight's uh, movie we are going to be talking about and reviewing is a really fun one, and one that I was surprised that you have not seen yet.
Brand new for me.
It's brand new, which is always a good thing when you could be introduced to a brand new movie or a somewhat brand new movie. This movie was originally released in 2009 and in the United States in January of 2010. I saw this in theaters myself. It's one of my favorite vampire movies.
Okay.
It's up there in my top list of like top 10 favorite vampire films. And this is Spierig Brothers, Michael and Peter Spierig production. And it's basically about what if the vampires won? What if they took over the world and now they run the world? What then?
What then?
Yeah, what then?
Well,
Like,
it's
and
pretty
what if?
bad.
Yeah, what if mankind is becoming extinct because of it?
hmm hmm Yeah, it feels very dark, True Blood. Um, Certainly, it's that uh, the not good story, the darker side of we don't have enough to eat, and what are we going to do? Um, yeah, terrific premise. Honestly, you had told me a little bit about it, just a general overview, and so I knew what to expect. But I was really pleasantly surprised by this movie to the point where I need to give it another spin through probably in the next 72 hours because I watched this pretty late last night, cramming for the exam today here. But it was really good. It was really well done, great story, and yeah, loved it.
Yeah, and the way the movie starts off is it starts off with this young girl. It looks like she's in
Mm,
her teens, and she's written a note, basically a farewell note, and it's basically saying that I'll never be able to grow up, and you know basically bask in the sunlight ever again. So in this world, if you're bitten as a vampire, you stay that age, which is a very like
Typical.
yeah. I mean, for some vampire lore, some people can grow up. It all depends if they're born a vampire. If they're born a vampire, then they can actually grow up. Usually,
Oh,
if they're bitten and become a vampire, I guess you get stuck that way. But I guess in this universe, you get stuck that age. What was that movie? Interview with a Vampire with Kirsten Dunst.
yeah. Or the new retellings on AMC, which are great too. But yeah, that
Yeah,
uh,
where you get stuck at that age, and then you forever are a child or forever a teenager.
which
Uh,
is rough, man.
yeah,
Teenage hormones in the body of a 10-year-old, not great. Menopausal woman, angry in a child outfit, not terrific.
exactly. And so basically, this is a suicide note for
Mm-hmm.
this. They don't give her a name really. They don't. They just it's just this teenage girl waiting outside in front of her house, waiting for the sun to rise. And then what will happen next. So right now, if you're looking at the screen, that this is what the scene in the movie where the girl's staring upward and waiting for the sun to rise, and you can see sort of those red eyes. I love the eyes in
Mm-hmm.
here. I love how the representation of like, okay, we know that you're a vampire. You're not. It's not just the skin. It's also in the eyes.
Yeah, I would say it's the eyes more than anything in this movie. I was looking at that. Is it? I mean, their eyes all are very brightly colored, but also non-changing pupils. Um, but what a cool sort of way to pick out the vampires in this movie, and also kind of a fun little storyline of what happens when the vampires aren't feeding. How their look starts changing into kind of that scary, more morphed bat vampire.
Oh yeah, when they run out of blood, where's the blood going to come from? Uh,
Right. And
yeah,
I didn't think about it that way now that you said it, but yeah, internally they kind of poison themselves is how they speak to it, but goodness, they get ugly.
I do like. There's a scene in here because this movie has Ethan Hawke, and we're introduced to him as a blood doctor basically, and he's pulling up, I guess, to the train station. He's parking his car. He's waiting, to go to work. And as he parks his car, he looks in his side mirror, and all you see is a suit. You don't see his head. It's a whole like
Yeah,
they don't
that was
project an
cool.
image, and I was like, I love that whole like it's an old like adage for a vampire to not be able to reflect their image because they don't have a soul, something to
Hmm.
effect.
Yeah, no
So
mirror image.
no,
Very
no mirror
cool.
image. Yes. So I thought that was pretty cool little thing to add in there. They didn't have to do that. They could have given him, you know, uh, an image, and we would just accept, that's the universe. But
Yeah, that whole scene, that kind of, this scene behind me, as you mentioned, is the opener. But that initial scene where we're introduced to him, the movie feels so much like kind of that film noir. His outfit, he's wearing a hat. It has such a different feel to it from any other vampire movie that I've seen. It almost feels like you're going into this kind of black and white. It's nighttime, everything's kind of shades of gray. It's not, but it just has a really cool, very art forward look to it to start. And then you also get kind of the visuals that reoccurs in the film at that opening scene where you've got something kind of happening in the subway. It's a kind of a quick flash, but freaky. It looks like
yeah,
two bats kind of, I don't know, fighting, hopefully. Maybe not. Maybe falling in love. It's quick.
yes, that's how they fight in love. They try to kill each other. No, I do sort of like that. It's not really a retro type of future, like a post-apocalyptic future, but it has this. Um, Even the people that giving away not giving, but selling the coffee with the blood in
Mm-hmm.
it, they have
Yeah.
those hairstyles and the suits they're wearing and everything. It does feel a little like maybe like 60s, 50s, 60s vibe right there.
What was the name of the movie that was it felt like watching a comic book? I want to say it came out in the 90s that was very black and white. I'm trying to think of some of the actors that were in it. Maybe
Is it the
was Vin
90s?
Diesel in it?
I don't know about the 90s.
I'll think on it. But yeah, I definitely am picking up what you're saying with the coffee shop. It's almost in the same way that the Hunger Games is in the future, but some of the outfits are strangely retro, very strangely in those cases. But um, yeah, it's a really um, interesting look to it.
Yeah, the colors are very muted too.
Comic booky.
Yes. I think that the reason for it being muted is because a lot of it takes place at night. So all the night scenes and everything have sort of muted colors, and the days colors are more brighter.
The movie I was thinking was Sin City,
Oh,
and
Sin
I
City.
was,
Okay, yeah,
yeah,
that was not.
2005,
Yeah, it's the
and
2000s. Like
definitely
no,
not Vin Diesel.
yeah, but it did have a
but
lot of
but
good
yeah.
actors. A lot of good actors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but kind of that, I don't know, a little that black and white kind of comic book. But you're right, it's not in black and white. It's just taking place in a darker time, but sort of noir a bit.
Yeah, there are scenes that are taking place in black and white. In fact, one of the first scenes of Sin City is all in black and white, except for certain, like the eyes of the person that's going to be killed and everything are in like green, like really sharp
Yeah,
green.
yeah,
And then yeah, so there's a reason for that because that's what's in the graphic novel. I actually have the graphic novel, so
very cool.
so we get, of course, we talked about Ethan Hawke's character. He plays Dr. Edward Dalton. He's the head hematologist for Bromley Marks, this corporation that supplies human blood to, I guess, a large portion of the United States and probably even the world.
Yeah.
And the CEO, Charles Bromley, is played by none other than Sam Neill. Yes, the same
He
Sam
plays
Neill from
that character
Jurassic
so
Park.
well. Yeah, he does a good job in that sort of character. Just
Oh yeah.
expect him to always make the bad decision.
No, I thought Sam Neill did a good job in here. As
No,
the
yeah, but his character, I feel like, is Ben's evil.
why? Because he's a CEO, or just because he's a vampire CEO?
I don't know. He seems like he's well, it probably just the overarching, premises of what their company's doing, but um seems like he would be the guy that makes the hard decisions that, nobody wants to be on the receiving end of.
Yeah, definitely. So when we get introduced to Edward, no, we're not doing Team Edward or uh, he's a basically very sentimental type of person. Like he actually feels for the humans. He's really trying to find a substitute for human blood because humanity is dying off. And what they have left, what they have captured of humans, they're basically draining dry. They have this huge like facility of like rotating humans that are like being kept alive when they should be dead.
Yeah,
And
it's dark.
it is really a dark like scene. It's like yeah, it looks like it's just basically a human farm
Hmm.
that they're draining the last vestiges of humanity and blood out of these people. But all these facilities, and we just get to see one, but all these facilities are starting to die off. Like they're losing so many humans on a daily basis, and they don't have any more to resupply. And the vampires need human blood, otherwise something bad it will happen to them. Something they'll turn into their worst nightmares.
Everybody's worst nightmares.
Yeah, they'll turn in sort of like the ancient vampires you read about, like the ones that are uncontrollable, the ones that have wings, the ones that have pointy ears and everything.
Very bat-like.
Very bat-like, yes. Well, these are they are vampires, but they don't like turn into little bats and fly away or anything else like
No.
that.
Human bats.
They're not Dracula.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
But no, I like how they introduce this world. They try to give a sort of a interesting universe to look at of what if like I said, the vampires took over and they're running the world. They're politicians, they're businessmen, they're police,
The
they're
military.
firefighters, they're just
Hmm.
regular neighbors, they're kids playing in the streets. All these things. They're kids in the alleyways smoking because they're actually adults. But
Yeah. Another great scene.
yeah, you just like see these like almost like, oh, that's just regular teens smoking. And then you realize, oh, they're probably adults. They've probably been kids for a long time.
Yeah, yeah. It's yeah, completely kind of retrofitted world, for sure. With you get glimpses of the army posters that say, join us or something,
It's like we need you. It's
capture
like
humans.
it was Uncle Sam, but with as a
Mhm.
vampire.
Right, exactly, exactly.
They didn't
And
have to
I'm
do
sure
much
you're
with
gonna
him. They
get
just
into
put teeth. They just had to put teeth on there.
right.
It's like, the
Pretty
editor
much
just
they
got really
imposed
lazy.
her. Mhm. But yeah, I mean, you're right. It's most things are happening, after hours because that's when the population's out, and I'm sure you're going to get into it. But the retrofitting of the cars to
Yes.
be drivable, the tanks for the military. It's I feel like they did a good job really trying to think of some of the smaller details as well in some of the scenes and add those pieces to carry that new world all the way through.
Yeah, exactly. And I like how they, like you said, how they retrofitted the vehicles with cameras and basically blackout screens for all the windows so that they can drive in the day. So when they
Right.
do that, when they press those buttons and it blocks out the windows and everything, you have these screens that pop up in front of them so that they can actually drive without the sunlight hitting them. I thought that was pretty
It's really
clever.
funny. Yeah, it's funny. This is 2009, did you say? 2009, 10?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Which I'm sure it was, fully, being developed at the time. But last night, on the way back to my house from the airport, I passed, a convertible that had the rear view that was just fully video instead of a rear view anymore, instead of an actual mirror.
yeah,
And then watching this movie, it's like, yeah, they could do that. They could
yeah. They can do that
certainly
now.
make all of this stuff. Yeah.
Well,
So,
they do.
so far in the future.
I believe they actually can put up a whole like in front of your windshield, um, a whole grid basically to help you with like maps and everything and stuff. So you don't just have a small screen. The whole windshield is that.
Yeah. Who needs glass? I mean,
Who
not in
needs
this day and
actually?
age.
Yeah, who needs actual driving when you can have the car drive for you?
Well, then there's that. That's the one thing they missed.
They didn't expect that. They didn't expect
Yeah.
Waymo.
Right. Would have been amazing for vampires.
Oh yeah, just drive them around. That would suck though if they got stuck. Like they got stuck in a roundabout. They're like, "Hello, hello, my
Right.
car's. It's
Time's ticking.
daytime. It's daytime. I'm gonna die." So like I said, we talked about Charles Bromley, Sam Neill's character. He's eagerly wanting a blood basically supplement to for his company because his company relies on selling human blood and they're running out of it. So without that human blood, their company is basically useless.
Right.
So they're
Tough
trying to figure
CEO
out. Yeah,
decisions.
yes. I mean, if only he went to the True Blood University, they could have gotten that one. But they don't have that one. But they're trying to find the right type of supplement for human blood because everything they've tried before seems to blow up in their face, literally.
Yeah. Or blow up their face.
Yeah, or their whole body. Did you see? There's like almost very like nothing left to that person on the.
Right.
Yes,
They have some great effects in this movie for sure.
very chunky effects.
Yeah. Hmm.
I love it when there's not CGI blood. When it's very gooey and it's very like in your face and you can tell that the actors were ready for it, but then when it hit them, they're like, and you can tell like,
Yeah.
we got it. We got it. We're going to
Hmm.
keep that take because you're like in
Hmm.
shock that that much blood hit you.
Right. The surprise that should happen.
Yeah, CGI blood just doesn't do it for me. It just looks the physics doesn't look right. It does. And for the actor trying to pretend like, oh, blood, it's like it's better when you can
Right.
actually see it and feel it than just be
Hmm.
doing pretend like, okay, we're gonna do it in post, and then it looks
Hmm.
bad anyway.
Right. Right. Yeah, there's a lot of, we talked about the scene with the sort of human farm, if you will. There's a lot of uh pretty, I don't want to say graphic, but just, scenes that make you pause and really, take in what you're seeing. And I did a couple of rewinds last night to take a better look at some of the more disturbing scenes of this movie, and they're really well done. Um, Definitely not CGI blood for the most part, I think.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess Edward Dalton, played by Ethan Hawke, he's driving on his way back home, and he accidentally runs another vehicle off the road because he's checking his ear because he's a character. He's a vampire that doesn't really like to drink human blood, so he's been trying to hold out for as long as he can, but his body's starting to change, and one of his ears is starting to get all pointy.
Yeah.
He's
So when you
becoming
see
an
the
elf.
class differences too, you start to see, he gets picked on a little bit for, I don't know if this is exactly correct, but how much cream he's putting in his blood coffee or something like that.
Well, he's not drinking at
Um,
all, so
yeah. Hmm.
they give him a
It's
fair
like,
share of blood.
aren't you going to be a real vampire?
Or yeah, well, aren't
And
you gonna
he's,
drink your
mhm,
coffee? And he's basically like,
right.
no, no, But because he's not drinking blood, he's starting to change, and he's examining his ear in his rearview mirror, and he doesn't pay attention to the road, and he ends up running an SUV off the road, and they both crash. One crashes into sort of like a power generator or something like that, or
Mhm.
a power station type of thing, and what's who pops out but humans. Especially a lady with a what was it, a crossbow or something.
Mhm. Yeah.
And
Armed,
he
armed and ready.
armed. Yeah, well, he goes over to check it out. He's basically making sure they're okay. Doesn't know they're humans. Thinks there may be another group of vampires, and immediately the woman shoots him right in the arm. It's basically like, oh, ow, you got me, not like, ah.
Yeah.
Eventually, will heal for him since he's a
Classic,
vampire.
classic meet cute right there.
Yes, I mean, well, we don't know that. We don't know if it's gonna be a love story or not. It's like it's more of like,
Mhm.
oh, it's just somebody that like, you know, maybe we'll see again. Who knows? But uh, the vehicle is basically totaled, and now the police have been called because he's gotten a car wreck and his car basically is like on star. You just been in a wreck. Blah 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 blah. Plus, they also ran into a power station thing, so that's probably
Right.
also alerted the police. And so because he's basically like more for the humans. He feels really bad for them, and he tells there's like what was it, 3 or 4 people with them, and has them come and brings them into his vehicle, and then blackens out all the windows, and then basically talks to the police and tells them, "Oh, I've been in a wreck and everything," and they're like, we heard there's humans here, right, going through here. He's like, well, I think I saw them go this way, and so that way they could tell that he's not going to rat them out, that he's actually there to help
Hmm.
them.
Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely the driving force behind trying to, solve the shortage of blood. He's the one with the real humanity in this movie for sure. So, um, yeah, it's the little scenes leading up to this moment. You start to get more and more of who this guy is. He's the one that takes the big pause at human farm or whatever we're referring to it now. Even though he must have seen it a bazillion times, it's at his office building. But moments like that, the not drinking the blood, and now we fully know this guy is he's trying to right what's gone wrong with the world. We've got our hero.
Yeah, he has a heart, and he can
Hmm.
see. It's not just that because his race of vampires are starting to change and they're starting to run out of human blood, but he also feels for the humans because he remembers what it was like to be human himself.
Hmm.
He and his brother's in the military. It's basically his job is to round up and capture humans and bring them back to the farm.
Yeah, yeah, I like his brother's character too. They've got a good exchange throughout this movie. I thought that was a smart idea, bringing in that additional um, individual to move the story forward.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, his brother is not like one dimensional. Like, he has a reason for wanting to stay a vampire and be happy as a vampire because he didn't feel like he was important enough as a human. I mean, here his brother is a doctor, and
Yeah,
probably praised by their parents and everything. Like, you became a doctor, what are you gonna be like? I don't know. And as a vampire, he's stronger, he's faster, and then decides to join the military. So he feels like he contributes to society more as a vampire than as a human.
yeah, and I didn't catch whether or not he's what his position is within the military, but he seems like he's pretty high ranking too.
Oh yeah. I mean, he's not like a general or anything, but he's
Hmm.
people listen to him. When he tells them things are going on. There's a scene in here where he actually reports his brother.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
conflict.
they're big conflict, and we actually find out something really interesting. It's kind of it happens later in the movie, but it sounds like that he's the one who actually turned his brother. Not just turned him in, but turned his brother into a vampire. So he was bitten, and then he bit his brother.
I don't
So
know if I caught that.
yeah, so
That must have been that. That'll happen in the rewatch for me. I'll pick that up.
yeah. Well, he has this conversation with his brother, and he's like, I didn't want you to die. I didn't want you to be, basically killed off by the rest of the vampires. So, and I didn't want to be alone. So that's why he ended up turning him.
Fair, fair.
But Edward doesn't really enjoy being a vampire. He doesn't enjoy the thirst. They call it, in some, like in Blade, they call it the thirst.
Hmm.
It's your need for blood, but in this case, they need the blood because it's something that their body needs to break down and survive. Otherwise, they turn into these vicious creatures that they become cannibalistic. They
Hmm.
start feeding on
Yeah,
each other and um, start
on
tearing each other
themselves.
apart. Yeah, and turning each other apart. Yeah, that was actually interesting. I've never seen that actually being portrayed as like vampires
Hmm.
trying to feed on themselves.
Yeah, yeah. Usually, you introduce chickens next or something, and when
Yeah,
vampires run out of food source or refuse to kill humans, it's usually rats and chickens are next, not themselves. So I
yeah,
like that they kind of did that.
especially when they're isolated or trapped. All of a sudden, you start to realize why are there marks all over their body? Well, they've been feeding on themselves. That's a
Hmm.
different type of disturbing. You know,
Yeah.
even for the vampires, they're like, whoa, what the fuck?
Yeah. And that seems to make whatever that transition that happens to them, that um, morphing into that kind of weird bat human. It seems to speed that up a little bit when they do that, from what I could pick up.
Oh yeah, definitely. So when Edward gets home, his brother, shows up, and then we get this scene where one of these mutated vampires breaks into their house, and they have to kill it.
Yeah,
We get
that
to
thing is
see it.
cool.
Yeah, we get to see up close what they look like when they sort of like morph into these like vicious bat-like creatures. Apparently this has been happening like all over the place, and then in the end he starts to realize who this creature is. It's like, this is my gardener. I saw him like 2 weeks
Yeah.
ago. That's a really fast transition to go
Mm,
from like his gardener to this type
yeah.
of creature,
To
and it's
hanging
getting
from the
faster.
ceiling.
Yeah.
That was a really cool scene. The level of grab that gardener had on the ceiling, to where um, when he's hanging from the ceiling. When he falls from the ceiling, he takes a piece of the ceiling with him, which was pretty cool.
Yeah. So the next morning, Audrey, the girl that, or the woman that he, you know, uh, basically rescued from that car wreck, shows up at his house because she's been looking for vampires that she can trust, and she shows up like a ninja.
Right,
She's waiting. She's
right.
waiting in the dark, waiting for him to turn on the light, and she just has that crossbow right in his face, and basically says, I want you to meet somebody. Here's directions." And then he hears his brother in the background, and then he turns around and she's gone, vanished.
Amazing.
Ninja vanish. She doesn't make a sound. And then Edward goes back upstairs, and his brother is like sitting on the stairwell, and it's like, "Who is that?" And he's like, "It's nothing. It's
You
nothing."
didn't hear a thing.
Yeah, yeah. I think he heard something. If vampires are similar to the other vampires in different universes, their senses are all heightened. Their vision,
Mm.
their smelling, their hearing. Um, so he could have heard that whole conversation, but sitting on the stairwell.
He did. He's choosing to let it go.
Yes, he's not Elsa.
No, no.
No, he's not gonna let it go that much. So Edward decides to, take that information and those directions and go to a specific spot where there's this large tree with plenty of shade.
Mhm.
And we get introduced to Lionel Elvis Cormick, played by Willem Dafoe.
It was so good.
I love Willem
So good.
Dafoe. Willem
Yeah,
Dafoe
who
is
doesn't?
such a good actor. Every time I hear his, like he has such an interesting like mannerism and voice.
Hmm. And look,
Yeah, he can either be
it's
a
very
really
unique.
good guy or a really unique bad guy.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I
And
liked his sort of origin story that um, he doesn't just tell, but they show. I thought that that was a really cool part of the movie, and again, it kind of brought in that sort of comic visual for me. That scene where he's working on his cars and racing them, very cool.
yeah, and he said, he's a character that is human now, but was once a vampire, and he ran a car shop, and he was one of the first people to retrofit, vehicles with, the blackout, screens all over and the cameras on it and everything. So, he knows, the cars in and out because he used to, make those type of things. But it was really interesting, like how his origins were, and then how he became human, because we find out the way he became human is the very thing that would usually destroy a vampire, the sun.
Right? What destroyed the little girl at the beginning of the movie?
Yeah. Also, wooden stakes work too, but still,
Yeah,
is the
they
sun. They
definitely
mainly,
point that out. Or a
yeah,
head cut.
exactly. There's a lot of things you could do with kill a vampire. You just have to be strong
Mm,
enough to do it,
right, right.
and accurate, strong
Yeah,
and accurate.
right. Yeah, no, I really loved that whole scene. I think, was it like a 50s Chevy classic car, and he, spirits off down the road high speed. And I don't remember exactly, again, in and out of consciousness last night trying to watch this movie, but I don't remember how he winds up getting into his accident, but he's ejected for just enough time for the sun to light him up, and then he luckily falls into a river and is, extinguished and, out of the direct sunlight, and finds that's the cure, which is so cool because I've never heard anyone remotely contemplate that as an option for vampires. The sun's always been the terrific, grand finale death for any vampire. So what a really cool new way to tell this story. A total game changer. Made this movie completely unique to anything else I've ever seen.
Yeah, the way they sort of like explain what the sun does, of course it ignites a vampire and burns them, but it also acts as sort of like a defibrillator,
Yeah,
because none of these vampires they have a pulse. They don't have a heartbeat,
right.
and it becomes sort of like that, boom boom, that
Mm-hmm.
to shock their heart back to life and give them
Mm-hmm.
life again, and sort of get rid of that vampirism type of like virus in their body.
Right. And doesn't it feel like, by 2010, before this movie, somebody would have utilized the heartbeat monitor in a vampire movie before. And I can't recall a time it was ever done. And it was, so perfect to, add into the storyline. Yeah, this movie won me over at once all of this came into play. It became an insta favorite.
Yeah. I mean, before it was mainly like just people putting their hand against their chests, going like, "I don't have, a
Mhm.
heartbeat. I don't have a pulse." But in here,
Right.
they actually give you sort of like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna hook you up to a heart monitor and see, if you can get a pulse again, or give you if we can see, your heart rate actually not flatline, but actually have, up and down."
Hmm.
No, I really enjoyed how they introduced that, especially when Willem Dafoe is, talking about how he became human again. He was suffering from lack of blood, so sort of having strange episodes type of thing. So that's one of the reasons why he was speeding and going kind of crazy on the road, is because he hadn't had blood in a while.
Right.
And then he gets in a wreck and falls into the water.
Yeah,
Well,
that was so cool.
yeah,
That's a
flies
great
right through the
scene.
windshield, right through the
Hmm.
windshield.
Yeah, right through the windshield, ignites, and then is doused out, which is, what I have to, ponder how all of this came into this writer's brain. And I wonder if that was the first moment, perhaps, if that was the initial thought that this entire story wrapped around, or if that came later as the resolution, because never in a million years would I have thought that as a storyline. It's so cool and it's so unique.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed the Spirit Brothers really bringing a different spin on this type of vampirism. We've, like we said before, sunlight has always been one of the ultimate weapons against vampires, and also one of
Hmm.
the biggest weaknesses that vampires have to deal with, because they have to sleep during the day and they can walk at night, which probably sucks for them during summer. And
Right.
they would hate Arizona. They're
Right.
like, there's the reason we have no vampires in Arizona.
I mean, I kind of feel like I've become a vampire in the summer in Arizona.
Ah, the light.
Right, the sun, no. Stay inside.
Exactly. Or if you have a pool, just live in a pool and you become a mermaid,
Hmm.
a
Hmm.
wrinkly old mermaid.
Right, right.
So we get uh, Edward has to go with the humans because his brother basically ratted him out,
Right.
and
Now he's on the run.
now he's on the run. And he knocked out. His brother got knocked out, not killed, but just knocked out. And now he's on the run, and he's along with let's see, he's along with Elvis and Audrey, and they're headed to a human colony, basically, which is not very big. It's just
Right.
because there's not that many humans out there,
Yeah.
and
I liked at this moment too. This is where I feel like I kind of sat up and despite my exhaustion really, was fighting through it because you start to get it had there had been a build up throughout the movie, but I felt like around this time is where the movie started doubling down on kind of the intensity of what was going on with the blood shortage, as well as the Bromley Marks is the name. Is that the name? Did I get it right? The
yeah, Bromley
blood,
Marks, yeah,
blood. Yeah, you start to pick up also that maybe there's some individuals in pretty high ranks that are not necessarily interested in solving the problem outright as well. Um, there's this sort of who needs a substitute. I want the real thing. There's very much this addiction to not just having I need the real blood, but almost like the better blood. At the coffee shop you refer to, there's different types of blood, which I think the rarest blood types are the most expensive. It starts getting kind of interesting that there's a bit of classism it looks like going on with the blood and the blood substitute, which I mean, gosh, it harkens a lot of the controversy around cures of various diseases and things today that you hear of. But I feel like while everything's going on, that's starting to build as well, which gets really interesting.
yeah. They start to put like 5% blood in the coffee now, and everybody's like, only 5%. Just give me a little more. And they're like, we can't. That's the
Right.
policy. It's almost like they become sort of like meth addicts,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and they need it. They can't live without it. It's become something now that their body, if it rejects it, they just start to turn into these
Meth addicts.
the dilapidated creatures. Um, and we get to see it. We go back to this sort of like coffee kiosk, little coffee
Mm-hmm.
shop, again in the subway, and the people are almost about to riot, and
Right.
and then the police come in
Very.
after
Yeah.
one of the guys decides to grab the blood bag, and it breaks everywhere, and the employees are like trying to shut the window to the kiosk, and even they are going after the blood now too. Right when they
Right.
shut the
Right.
window, they're like, "Ah, no one can see us." Ah!
Our fault. It
um,
was broken.
yes, it was broken. It's not our fault. We're cleaning with our mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And we get this interesting, like, these people that were all calm, they're all waiting in a queue, and now they're just going crazy because now there's blood
Yeah.
all over the place, and
Yeah.
the military and the police have to come in and basically wrangle everybody. But yeah,
Yeah.
you
There's
get
a
to
couple
see,
of those like frenzied moments.
yeah, and you just see how how quickly it's sliding downward spiral type of thing.
Right.
Um, for the rest of the vampire community, and we only get to see a small portion too, because this is
Mm-hmm.
happening worldwide. This is not just in a
Right.
small section in a city. It's being talked on the news and everything, um, and we even get
Yeah. I
to
thought that
hear,
was well done.
yeah,
Bringing it up in the news, the different areas to kind of give you that feeling. That kind of reminded me, which I feel like I've done this before on this podcast, but I'm trying to remember when True Blood came out. I feel like they successfully did the same thing to show that this is, a worldwide epidemic, bringing in news stories. And they were talking about riots and other things on this particular movie happening globally. So you can feel that tension that's mounting for sure.
that was actually 2008. True
Oh, was
Blood.
it really? Okay.
Yeah,
All right. So right around the same time. Gosh, the vampire times of
there was a point
the
where we
the
were obsessed with vampires,
oh yeah,
like
yeah. We got
super
big into
obsessed.
them hardcore again. I blame the writer of the Twilight novels.
I don't really consider those two things vampires. Sorry.
Very angsty. Very angsty.
No fangs. They sparkle. I mean,
Sparkled.
they turn into glass when you break them apart. Yeah, I have no idea. That'll be something else. That I actually reviewed that a long time ago, and the books.
Did you
'Cause
really?
I don't know where those reviews are, but I reviewed those and I reviewed the books because I read every single book.
Those were hard movies to watch. I laughed a lot throughout the movie because those I feel like I don't know. I never read the books, but I feel like the movies were definitely made for teenagers.
Yeah, well, they are sort of young adults, so.
Mhm.
Um, so we get Edward meets a senator that we've seen him on the television throughout the movie. His name is Wes Turner, and he's a human sympathizer, and he's at actually this human, basically colony, what's left of a bunch of the humans in that area, and they're they're sending out human scouting groups to try to find more humans uh, to bring back to the colony. And Edward is trying to also find, they asked him, since you are a blood doctor, a hematologist, we need you to try to figure out how to replicate, what happened with Elvis,
Mhm.
with Lionel Cormack's character. We need you to figure out how we can replicate it because, Elvis is not a scientist. He's a he's a car guy. He admits
Yeah.
he's not really good with science. He's not really that smart. It was a
Mhm.
complete fluke what happened to him. Do you know
Very
how?
cool fluke.
Yeah, a very cool fluke. He's like, but it's possible. We need to figure out how we can replicate this.
Mhm.
At this time, a group of humans, basically that are being led back to the colony, get ambushed, and one of the humans in there is actually part of that group is Bromley's daughter, played by
Mm-hmm.
Isabella Lucas. Um, Isabella Lucas's character basically didn't want anything to do with vampirism.
Mm-hmm.
Her dad was it dying of like sarcoma or something like that, and then when he got turned, of course, it cured his his cancer and everything, and which is sad because Sam Neill actually has cancer right now.
Oh,
I
didn't know
think
that.
it's like stage 3 or something like that. I forget. So it's kind of sad. Um, but yeah, he was
She's
cured,
a
and she is against this whole vampirism thing.
conscientious objector.
A
She's like,
conscious
no.
objector. So yeah, so she left. So she left basically. She's like, I don't want to be a
Mm-hmm.
vampire.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want this. You can be immortal. I'm not going to be. I don't want to be a vampire.
I really wanted more with her character. I thought that it was a really cool narrative. Um, and I wanted to see, more of how all of that storyline developed. Um, but, we get instead her, being brought to dad and, this strong refusal and, dad saying it's going to happen anyway.
Yeah,
And yeah, she gets turned.
she gets turned by Frankie.
Hmm.
Yeah, by Edward's brother, and basically, as when she's turned, she refuses to drink blood.
She's one of those self gnars.
Yes, so she's still in her mindset of like, I don't
Hmm.
like vampirism, but I also now don't like myself because I am a
Yeah,
vampire now.
yeah.
So I'm staying away from anything. You can throw blood at me, which they try. She's like, I refuse. I refuse to drink.
Now, if I was a vampire, putting myself in the shoes of Edward's brother, yeah, he's got kind of the coolest job in the military because he seems to be the one that gets, asked to turn people a lot. So, as a vampire, really craving human blood. What a cool assignment to be brought in to just. It's strange to me that that Bromley didn't do it himself, but maybe that's the whole thing. Is
Yeah, that'll be
it's
used
his
a little
daughter. So.
later. That'll be used a little later as a plot device of more of a statement of his own character.
Mm.
So we go back to the human colony area, and they're actually trying to um, do the experiment now, but they have a time limit because the military is on their way, and so it's basically done in sort of like this
Silo.
basically like a silo type of thing with a window that they could pop open and shut to let the sun in, and there's sort of a trough of water
Hmm.
nearby, and uh, Edward
A
is
wet
like
blanket.
a wet blanket basically, and he has the heart monitor on him and everything, and you know basically wrapped up in a wet blanket, and every time uh, Elvis opens up the window, it starts to burn Edward and you set him on fire. And Audrey is, behind the scenes, looking at the heart monitor, seeing if he gets a heartbeat, if
Right.
his pulse,
This
if the,
this entire scene I really liked for this movie a lot because it with everything else that they had done up to this point and knowing that this is happening very quickly, setting up this whole experiment, as you mentioned, the military is on its way. With the background of the characters and what they do, this feels legit. It doesn't, so many movies when you would have some plot entry like this, if you think too hard about it, you can pull it apart. Like how are they able to put that together in that amount of time? And who's this guy? He doesn't have any experience, but with Elvis's character of retrofitting the cars and with Edward's character of being a doctor, none of it seems, it's not overdone, and it feels realistic, like they would be able to put this, contraption together in enough time and test it. And they also don't, hit it first go round either,
Yeah,
which feels,
exactly.
it's a nice, a really well done scene. They didn't rush it too much or overdo it.
Yeah, and you're sort of on the edge of your seat because you can see those Humvees, coming
Hmm.
down the road, and they're trying to rush, trying to get this whole, thing done, in time, and it takes a handful of times. He keeps saying, do it again, hit me again. Even though he's just burned like 2 or 3 times already,
Right.
and they finally, get a pulse, and then the military shows up, and they are already in hiding. So
Yeah.
there's a point where they got him, and then they were able to hide.
Yeah. And you talked about it at the beginning, but again, that subtleness of vampire to human, of just, it's all in the eyes, I thought
Yes.
was really cool with this. So you just get that, like, you saw the heartbeat, it worked, did it work? And his eyes are normal now. And I think that that's a really cool,
And
I,
the
I
skin,
don't know that,
too.
yeah, yeah, but I don't know that I've seen, um, many movies that utilize that kind of the eyes changing in that way, which strange that it hasn't been, overdone, frankly, at this point. But just another really cool way to show that transition.
Oh yeah, I mean near the beginning of the film, in the subway area, when the train is going by, and um, I guess the power flickers for a moment as the train goes by, or the subway train goes by. It becomes dark all of a sudden, and everybody that's standing on the edge of the subway, all you see is their red eyes right
Yeah,
there. So that was a really cool scene. You could tell, just like, okay, they're all vampires.
yeah,
So yeah, it's all in the
much
eyes
better
in
than
here.
sparkling.
Oh my goodness, yes, they're much better. Look how much I sparkle. It's like,
Hmm.
no, you're not. But yeah, so they avoid the military, and Edward finally gets to step out in the light for the first time for a long time for him, to feel the sun on his face and everything. And then we get a scene a little later on, because Audrey gets captured, and he is confronted by his brother, and his brother realizes, wait, you're human now.
Hmm.
And then he sees Elvis, and I don't know if it's because he sees the bite marks or something like that, or something, scarring on his neck, but just goes like kind of feral, and bites Elvis on the neck, and then all of a
Hmm.
sudden, starts to cough everything up, and starts to go really weird. It's like, his blood is poisoned or something to that effect.
Hmm.
And then we find out that anybody that has been, I guess, devampirized,
Yeah, I like that
so,
term. That
yes,
sticks.
yes, something in
Webster
their,
at it.
yes, something in their blood is actually now the cure.
Right.
Which, that whole thing with the fire thing, all you need to do is just like, here, I just cut my hand. Here's some of my blood. That's all you had to do. But they didn't know about that. They just sort of like,
Right.
we're gonna try to recreate that whole like burning, thing,
Hmm.
and see if that works. But all he needed to do was have a little bit of his blood. But I know, I actually love this also. This explanation of a cure is like,
So cool.
it turns into sort of like an antivirus type of situation, where instead
It's
of
so
like,
cool.
vampirism is a virus, this is sort of like the antivirus, but it also will spread that way through the
Mhm.
blood.
I'm perking up the same way that I did last night when I was. I explained this before we started recording, but I was absolutely exhausted trying to watch this movie. And it's funny because normally when you watch a movie and you're tired, you get more tired. And as the movie went on, I kept waking up more and more. And now, even with you talking about this scene, I'm starting to like twist in my chair a little bit. Uh, you know, all of the unique storylines which vampires don't get a lot of unique storylines. There's so many unique storylines in this movie. And, I don't want to jump ahead. I'm getting excited because I know you're about to talk about the ending, but that's the coolest ever. It's that, and it all starts with that notion that it's the cure.
Yeah.
And one vampire feeds on someone, and suddenly they're cured, and
Yeah, and then
on
it
and
just a
on.
chain reaction. And just one after the other after the other. We kind of bypassed the daughter of of Bromley, because she ends up becoming sort of a mutated vampire herself because she starts to feed on herself.
Yeah, meth
And
pyre.
yes, a meth fire. And you know they're trying to get rid of these creatures, and they've been rounding a lot of them up, and they end up chaining a bunch of them together and then dragging them out in the sunlight.
Yeah, that was cool too.
That was brutal because it also shows you,
Hmm.
because the brother was involved with that, and not only did he turn uh, the daughter into a vampire, but he has to be the one to watch her being dragged to death into the sun. And he turns around and he can he sees the rest of his unit. They're all cheering, they're all happy this is happening, but he has this look of guilt on his face.
Yeah.
And he's not like I said, he's not a one-dimensional character. He does feel like these are these were once vampires, and there's one of them he even turned just recently.
Mhm.
And he also knows that that was a daughter, that was of someone's daughter, and just for her father to be that cold and
Yeah,
have her killed that way.
you get
uh
both sides of humanity. I don't know if you still call it humanity if you're a vampire, but people um, feeling for vampires that have
a
become
conscious.
ill. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and vice versa. People that feel for humans that have been turned into vampires. It's pretty interesting,
they might have lost their soul, but they still have a conscience.
right? Aw.
So we get because we've figured out that that is a basically a cure. You don't have to burst into flames. uh, Edward devises a plan to get Audrey back by just walking back into his work.
Yeah,
No
that's
guns,
big.
he's still in sort of his he's still sort of in his suit that he's been wearing for days.
Hmm.
Um it's kind of messed up a little bit, but he walks in there, security flags him immediately because when you walk in it can detect whether you're a vampire or human.
Hmm.
And now he's human and it goes off like crazy. And they bring him to Bromley's, you know,
Office.
office, his main office, and we see Audrey
Mm.
there, and her wrists have been sort of slit, and she's sort of like
Yeah.
tied down to the chair, and uh, he's sitting there, with a wine glass, drinking her blood, as you
Ah,
do,
Dad, as you do.
as it. I mean, with someone that
Yeah.
with that accent, and someone like Sam Neill, he has to have a nice wine glass.
Hmm.
Yes,
Walking your daughter down the aisle,
yes,
holding your first grandchild, and drinking of her blood. It's all the things that fathers do.
yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, so this is after he basically had his daughter sentenced to death, and
Mm.
so he has he has Audrey there, and she is she's bleeding out a bit. She needs to really
Yeah,
get those
he's
things
catching it.
clotted. And Edward gets pulled into the room and just sat down, and one of the first things is Bromley says to him is like, "Oh, it looks like you got a tan," or something to that effect.
Yeah, yeah, he does. You look good. You got a tan.
Yeah, yeah. And so the whole thing is Edward is trying to he devised a plan to get bitten by Bromley. So he basically is like, I don't like humanity. I don't want to die. I thought this would be good for me, but it's not.
Hmm.
And um, can you turn me and also turn Audrey and also drop the charges against me? Blah 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 blah.
I want to be a good vampire.
not the greatest plan, but I mean, there is, there is a plan.
Yeah.
So, because he knows now he is the cure. His blood is the cure. And he gets Bromley riled up so much that he ends up biting him in the neck. And, yeah. So, we don't particularly get to see him fully turn human, but we know exactly right when he bites him what's going to happen.
Right.
And the really cool scene is when he gets tied up in a chair and put in an elevator, because he called them, basically called the military, all his units in, and they all show up in the garage and everything below the building, and then all you see is this elevator, coming down, and then the doors open, and now it's a human Bromley tied to a chair,
Tasty.
Gagged basically, and the vampires are just, the military is just standing there for a second and realize that he's human, and then just go completely feral on him. And not just, like, suck his blood, but tear his body apart. This is
they do.
Pretty brutal. They do a really good job with the practical, body parts in here.
Is this the scene where the eyes are still moving?
Yeah.
On the head? Yeah, that was really well done.
Well, the head's being held, like, upside down by the the spinal cord column, whatever that's left of the neck, and it's like, oh.
Yeah, you get that, guillotine eye shift. Not overdone. Again, very well done.
Yeah, but still brutal, because you're like, oh, he's gonna probably die, but it's like he's gonna be like bite marks all over the place. Like, no, they tear his limbs off, they tear his head off, they just, like, massacre his body.
Yeah.
And so
feeding
frenzy, and Edward and Audrey are, trying to escape. They go back down to the lobby area, and they're met with, by the military, another unit, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a vehicle comes crashing through. I think there's the Trans Am, and and out pops his brother to help them out. But as they turn about to leave, another unit of maybe 2 units or something show up behind them and then surround them. And the brother makes an ultimate sacrifice and sacrifices himself. So at this moment in time, he's human. So Frankie is human, but he sacrifices himself and knows exactly what's going to happen when he does sacrifice himself. But it is a sad scene. It's sort of like, it's like you wanted him, because he finally gets that humanity back after, feeling guilty of all his actions, even betraying his own brother. And he redeems himself, but it's still sad.
Right. But you don't get too much time to dwell on it, because this is where the best scene of the movie happens,
yes.
In my humble opinion. And you get the chain reaction feeding frenzy, which is so cool. It's, oh my gosh, a human, eat him. Oh my gosh, now I'm a human. Oh my gosh, a human, eat him.
And another, my unit is after me now. And then all of a sudden,
it's so good.
And it's vicious too. They do this whole slow-mo thing where you just see body parts are flying everywhere. You're like, wow, this is...
Right, but what you were talking about, it being kind of the cure-all, and it feels very much in that moment, even though it's the cure. It's spreading like a pandemic. It's almost zombie, apocalypse style in that moment. But again, just never thought of it, never conceived of it, and certainly have never seen it in another movie. Really, really well done.
Oh yeah, and we one of Edward's lab partners has been working with him for years. Basically kills the rest of the military that have been turned into humans, and basically is like, we've already come up with a substitute for blood. There's nothing to cure. He doesn't want to go back, and then Cormac or Elvis ends up ending him.
Yeah.
with an arrow.
Mm.
I do like how they explode. They explode violently too.
Yeah, they
This is not
do.
this is
They
not like this is not like Buffy where they just turn into like ash and sand and kind of go whoa. And it's
yeah,
more
no.
like they explode.
That's great.
Surprised they don't
That's how
set
it should
anything
be.
else on fire. Yeah, I don't. I'm surprised they don't set
Mhm.
anything else on fire around them because that's just a massive explosion. That
Mhm.
you stab them with a wooden stake or something a leg off a chair or a table. If I was a vampire, I'd make sure all my tables and chairs had like rounded legs and everything, and make sure
Right.
nothing on accident if something like breaks or something, I don't fall on it and go like, well, I just ended my life.
Right.
I
Right.
just
Too
went
sharp of a
kaboom.
corner.
Yeah, everything's
Childproof your
round
house.
for myself.
Mm.
And then they end up riding off into the sunset and basically saying that we have a cure. And
Yeah.
this is one of those films, in my opinion, where I wish they made a sequel because I want to see what happens worldwide with this
Hmm.
cure.
Yeah. I'm going to say I felt the same way, but at the same time, it's one of those movies that I'm also really glad they didn't make a sequel because it's just, this is the type of movie that's so well done. If they make a sequel, the sequel has the potential to not be as well done. What I was really hoping for in such a childish way, because now I went from, being practically comatose on my couch to being wide awake. Then I started skipping through the credits. I was looking for exactly that. Like, let me see the footage worldwide of this thing, working out and, fixing the issues globally, but I didn't get it. If I did, it was hidden too well. I didn't see anything. But yeah, I think it was kind of a perfect story, great beginning, middle, and end. Um, and as much as I wanted to see the full effects, kind of liked the way that it's perfect.
Yeah, this movie also didn't drag. Didn't have scenes that
Not
really
at
dragged
all.
on too long. The movie was only 98 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
The budget. Guess the budget on this film.
2010. I'm gonna go 20 mil.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you serious?
Yep, $20 million.
Okay, I promise I didn't look that up, and I thought you were gonna say 20 mil. Come on, what's wrong with you? I'm not good with that typically. So 20. How much did it make?
And it made $51.4 million. So not a lot at the box office. Typically with horror movies, they're not sinners. Okay, we're not gonna go like 300 million or more. $500 million at the box office. That's a rare occasion when a horror movie even remotely goes that.
Yeah.
Or, but yeah, so horror movies don't usually make a lot. It's just they don't get the audience that is expected. But yeah, for $20 million, I thought they did a really good job with the the cityscape. I know it's more of like an isolated areas that they shot in, and it's not like when they talk about worldwide stuff, they don't really show it. They just like go they talk on the news and everything like this is
Right.
happening. So you're
Right.
expecting that they don't have to go like we're in Paris, we're in England, we're
Mm-hmm.
in
Right.
we're in Africa, we're in China, whatever. We're showing the world, but they said the whole world is full of vampires. So just
Mm-hmm.
expect it to be like what we're seeing now in this city.
Yeah.
And yes, like in the middle of the day, nobody's on the streets. Everything is all
Mm-hmm.
everybody's inside because sunlight. So, for $20 million, I thought they did a really good job with a lot of the practical effects. Even with I believe some of the CGI effects really melted well with with the practical effects and just the story in general. I'm really just obsessed with the story.
Yeah, the story is chef's kiss. I'm actually surprised that it didn't make a little more money. I blame, I guess, the marketing around it because I mean, and I don't know what they could have been backwards in profit. But I think about like 30 Days of Night and some of the other movies that came out around this time. Don't quote me on that, but more, late 90s all the way through early aughts. I feel like I didn't hear enough about this movie. Um, and I'm wondering if it could have been, you drew the correlation, to Twilight being the anti-Twilight, but that was kind of around the same time that some of that stuff was happening, and you had True Blood. Maybe it just got lost in all of the other vampire movies, but it's a shame because until you had brought it up, I had frankly never heard of this movie, and it's a fantastic movie.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see. Twilight came out in November 21st, 2008.
Okay, I would have guessed seven, but that makes sense.
So it's in that area of like it came out
Hmm.
before this movie, but it was in the area where everybody was obsessed with vampires. I think
Yeah,
2007 was 30 Days of Night,
right.
and uh, so we're in this whole area of like a 5 year
Mhm.
period where we get nothing but vampires,
Right.
vampires, and to
And the
have a
marketing machine behind Twilight was not to pun, not to be punny, but was eclipsing. I mean, it really, Twilight was everywhere. You walk 2 feet in public without seeing something about Twilight and the series and the movie. So I feel like perhaps, it took too much of the air out of the room for this one to really get the attention it needed.
well, for Twilight they were really trying to romanticize vampirism.
Mhm.
In Daybreakers, they're trying to say this is not good, even for the vampires, because if they go overboard, they're going to be extinct as well. So
Right,
they're basically a death sentence if they end up winning and taking over and not
right.
balancing it out. If they don't balance out, the earlier vampires, in the like talk about like in the Middle Ages or whatever. Whenever you hear about those type of vampires, um, one of the reasons why they don't just keep spreading and spreading and making more vampires and everything is they understand that there is a food supply that needs to be constantly built up over time. Otherwise, they don't have a food supply.
Right.
And for some reason
Well,
they got really greedy in this universe because they now have turned so many humans into vampires. They've actually overpopulated their own species, and
right.
now they don't have enough food supply.
Yeah, and if pop culture has taught us anything, at least since the 80s, it's the individuals that are going to spend the money and spend the time to not just see it once, but twice and three, four, five times. That's, that genre that Twilight really appealed to as well. Romanticizing it, it's that teenage generation that I like to call it daddy's money. But I see it all the time and depending on who the headliners are at the festivals, what kind of turnout you're going to see in ticket sales with Coachella and other events like that. Um, if new younger genre music that's really appealing to those crowds, that's who's going to spend the money. Um, you know, Michael Jackson on. It's definitely a pop world we're living in, and this is not a pop movie, but it's a shame because it's a way better movie, tremendously better.
Exactly. Well, when I say when you want to make a good movie, it's not just about the pop and circumstance of like the always the special effects. I might spend $200 million on this movie. I got this and this A-list actor. It's really about the screenplay and the storyline that will really
Yeah,
drive you to be like, I want to know more about this universe because this and all these people in it. Like I would love to hear other stories about people out there. Same way with like a movie like Dread with Carl Urban. I want to know stuff beyond just the Judge Dredd because this world is really interesting and there's so many
mhm.
mega blocks to know about. And uh, when you see a movie like this and it doesn't get a lot of fanfare because it's a horror film and in the horror genre and unfortunately not everybody's into horror, uh, and it doesn't get a lot of praise for actually being a good movie. A lot of my critic friends love this film. And praised it when it came out, but it just didn't get a lot of people going to the theaters to seeing it. Now today, there's a lot of people seeing this movie again and going, "Wow, I didn't see it when it first came out, but this is actually a really good story. Like this is a really good vampire film and a really different take than we're all used to, than the Bram Stoker's or the Nosferatu type of films." It puts you in a different mindset and sort of gives you more of like what if corporate greed took over and ended up like almost destroying their whole species because of it. So I really enjoyed this film. Before we end the podcast, I want to get your last takes and your rating for this film, and then I'll give mine.
So not to beat this narrative to death, but I had to look and see who this movie was competing against. And it apparently snagged the number 2 spot on opening night, but it happened to be up against James Cameron's Avatar. Damn. That's rough. That's rough stuff.
That's rough for anybody. That's rough for anybody.
Yeah, exactly. Youth in Revolt, which is another one of my personal favorite movies, came out at the same time, and a lot of unfortunate souls have no idea about that. Fantastic Michael Cera flick, but that's congratulations on the number 2 spot on opening night at least. It's a shame. This movie was such a terrific recommendation. I spend a lot of time looking for movies to watch in this genre, and when something like this is served up and you wind up walking away from it so excited, I'm probably going to watch this again this weekend. Some of it's a little fuzzy still. I want to see this probably 2 or 3 more times to really digest
conscious.
all of it when I'm fully awake and conscious. And now, even after having this conversation, if anybody is listening and is worried about spoilers, trust me, go watch the movie, because you're just going to be that much more excited. And watching it in the fog I was in, and now talking about it, I'm even more excited to spin it one more time. The story is 100% it. It's a new take, and it's not just a subtle, one little change. It's got some kind of political discussion in it. It's got really moody scenes that are, visually beautiful. But the story, it just hits the whole way through. You mentioned it's not a long movie, which was one of the reasons why I'm like, I can power through this at the beginning. And it just got better as the movie went on. And if you're a lover of vampire tales, you will 100% love this movie, because it does it so well and in such a new light. Light pun. There I am again. I'm on fire now with the puns. Fire. Oh no.
You're on fire. You're cured.
I'm cured. I'm human again. This is going to be the weirdest rating I give. I'm going to rate it an 8, and then I'm probably going to watch it again and want to rate it higher. Because it really is. You talked about when we watched Frankenstein and reviewed it, that being a perfect story. I almost like this story better than that. I'm still a little fuzzy on, even when you were talking, I don't know if you caught it, when you were talking about Bromley at the end, I was still thinking that was his daughter, who he was, had strapped to the chair and he was drinking her blood. And it's like, no, that was the other character. So
she had already died.
Yeah. I really want to watch this again and take it all in again. It's a must see, and it's a must rewatch. I give it an 8, and ask me in 2 weeks and it'll probably be higher.
Fantastic. Yeah. I'm actually going to give my rating right off the bat. I give this a 9 out of 10.
Nice.
It's not a perfect score, and there's reasons for this. I personally would have liked a longer film. 98 minutes is nice. It's good for most horror films. It gets you right through. I wanted to know way more about this universe, and also some of the characters in here. I wanted way more backstory, especially
Hmm.
like Alison Bromley, like her character, like we were talking about earlier. I wanted her to
Yeah.
be more fleshed out because I wanted a more emotional impact of you know of her father having to deal with not only her rebellion, but having to really feel the emotional impact of having to see his daughter kind of suffer because now
Yeah.
he is, feeling guilt of his daughter not wanting to take the blood. And now that he has had her turned into a vampire, and a longer, transition than what we got until, eventually martial law is taken over in the city, and the ones that have been fully mutated have to be dragged out into the sunlight. So there are scenes in here are just in general like the universe. I wanted to be more fleshed out. Otherwise, I think I would probably give this like a perfect score if they made it a little long. If they made it like what was it maybe like 2 hours. That's about
Mhm.
120 minutes. I think they could have added some stuff in there and some more character development.
Yeah.
And yeah, I like the scenes with the brother, but I think we could have seen even more scenes with the brother because I
I
really
agree.
the brother had such an interesting, transition from being, feeling like he was a useless military grunt to I'm now feeling guilty for my actions, not just with my brother, but also seeing what I'm doing to these other people, including somebody that they called their daughter, and not just basically, having me turn them and now having me kill them. It's
Hmm.
having them dragged out into the sun. Um, I think there and at the very end he redeemed himself, but like I would love more storyline behind it. Like I would love to have seen sort of a backstory, a flashback when they were human, how they reacted when they were younger and everything. That would have been really interesting to just flesh out their characters even more, their relationship with each other.
Yeah. They could have done some, flashback storyline, which would have worked really well in this movie with that kind of noir appearance of it. I think that's so classic in those, 1950s crime movies. They definitely could have done something like that. I can agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
I think your review's spot on.
All in all, I really enjoy this film. I watch it constantly whenever I can. Right now, you can watch it like free on Tubi and on what was it, Fandango for free. You have to deal with commercials. I have the DVD right here. I've had this for some time. It's it's a favorite of mine. But like I said earlier, but yeah, I give it this definitely a 9 out of 10. And if you have not seen this film, please check it out. You
What
can
are you
watch it for
doing? Go watch it.
yeah, go watch it if you love vampires and if you want a different take on vampires than you're used to. You're used to like the True Blood or the Twilight, romanticizing vampirism and everything, and humans getting along with vampires and everything. And it's like almost like a balanced, perfect world. Well, what if that world was run by greedy corporate people that ended up turning most of the population into vampires, and then going, "Oops, well, we didn't expect this to happen. We're running out of food."
Right. If you are not tuning in for my puns this evening, you definitely should be listening to this podcast just for the simple fact that here's a real gem of a movie that someone who's obsessed with horror culture and movies had no idea about. This is a fantastic recommendation. I thank you so much for putting it out there for me to add to probably what will be an annual rewatch. Fantastic movie.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I hope the whole family gets to maybe watch it along again with you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's
Mhm.
one of the like I said, it's one of my top 10 like favorite vampire films. So check it out. Daybreakers. It's rated R, so it's not for kids unless you're me when I was younger, and I watched R-rated films when I was just a toddler. Not
My
everybody does
kids,
that.
my
Not
kids are
everybody
allowed
does
to
that.
watch this.
Yeah. Yeah, check it out. It's a very good film. It has Ethan Hawke, it has Sam Neill, it has Willem Dafoe, incredible actors. What was it? The actress that played Audrey was Claudia Carvin, and I think they did all a fantastic job in this film.
Agree.
Fantastic cinematography by Ben Knott, and the music too by Christopher Gordon. So definitely check this out wherever you can, and if you can buy it digitally or buy it physically, I highly recommend it. So
Yeah.
thank you, LC, for coming on tonight and reviewing and talking about Daybreakers. And also, be sure to check out all my stuff on my socials. It goes by at Nerd Corner on all of them. Eventually, LC will have socials as well. You can check out some cool stuff, and we'll link it. We'll link it up. We'll
Someday.
link it up eventually,
Someday.
someday.
Yeah. Mm,
And
maybe that's what I'll
remember,
do in the new year. That's my New
exactly.
Year's resolution.
That's your New Year's resolution. Happy New Year, everyone. We'll be doing some more reviews later this year. I'll just say this right now, for about like 1 month, there'll be no reviews because I'll be moving out of the country. But then no reviews will start up again. But I hope you have a happy New Year. And remember to enjoy your chimichanga.